Welcome to Bears on Tap, hosted by Quentin Q. Crisco, Samir Patel, Sonny Verma, and the one and only Ron Luce, bringing you all the news, analysis, and opinions on the charter franchise, Chicago Bears.
Welcome back to another episode of Bears on Tap. My name is Quentin Crisco. I am joined by Samir Patel and Brendan Shagru tonight. Starting with Samir, how are you doing this evening?
Doing great, Q. It's Packer Week. We're always fired up for Packer Week, especially because we have a bad taste in our mouths from a couple weeks ago, and we have a chance to clean it out here. So looking forward to that.
Brendan, how are you doing?
Feels like deja vu. I mean, the three of us were here a couple weeks ago talking Bears Packers and the excitement of the matchup. And it's good to see that the Bears got back on the winning side of things. This wasn't a trap game against the Browns. And now you can definitely tell the players were happy to get that one through because they had that same bitter taste in their mouths, Samir, and they're ready for Packer Week. We're ready for Packer Week. Man, the lakefront's going to be so fun this weekend. I'm so pumped.
It's going to be a wild Saturday on the lakefront. But before we get too much into that, I want to give you guys the floor a little bit for something that was talking about pre-show with the Avengers and the Bears offensive line and Caleb's comments. You guys had some thoughts. The people want to hear them. So Samir, take it away.
Yeah. So I got this idea from Brendan, actually, when I saw him. He was, I think, the first on it when he was talking about what his opinions would be. And I think the first one was genius, where he talked about Ozzie as Teen Groot. I think it was, right? You went with Teen Groot, not adult Groot, not baby Groot, but Teen Groot makes sense because he's got power. He's big. He's a little raw, not really like the forefront, I would say, of the Avengers team. But you want him on your side, right? And maybe at some point he's going to develop into one of the more important pieces for the Avenger O-line team. Did I capture that one right, Brendan?
I think you did, yeah. I did just say Groot, but I think Teen Groot makes more sense the way you say it because he is still developing. I'm sure Ozzie's attitude is much better than Teen Groot, who sometimes just didn't want to be there, although he was an impactful player. So just to set the stage real quick. So the whole thing, Caleb came out on Sunday, talked about it. I call the offensive line Avengers and everything. So we all started to make guesses on who could be who. And I know Mason initially put out like, okay, we need the rest of the 5 starters. Before I get to the rest of mine, and Samir, I want to hear yours too. The quote unquote official list from Caleb Williams is Wolverine as Ozzie Trapillo. It's kind of weird. Doctor Strange for Joe Thuney. Interesting. Hulk for Drew Dahlman. Could make sense. Red Hulk for Jonah Jackson. Kind of out of left field, but okay. And then Darnell Wright was Bucky, aka the Winter Soldier, mainly because he only has one arm right now. And Bucky, of course, had the metal arm. So that's how Caleb classified it. I had, as Samir said, like, Teen Groot / Groot for Ozzie Trapillo. I don't know how Joe Thuney's not Captain America. He's a captain. He is literally a captain on the offensive line. He is more finesse than power. And, he's kind of that quiet leader. Like Captain America, he does the rousing speeches and everything, but at the same time, he's kind of in the background. Again, more finesse than power, I'd say, for Joe Thuney. And Q, you can correct me if I'm wrong, as our O-line expert.
100%.
Thank you. Drew Dahlman, I had as Thor because Thor wields the hammer and Drew Dahlman effectively wields the ball. Thor is powerful. He is good in both run and pass, lightning and thunder. Sure, he doesn't have the hair, but he's a handsome man as well. I think just Thor makes sense in that aspect. I put Jonah Jackson as Drax the Destroyer. And that's kind of how I see Jonah Jackson. He is a destroyer. You just have to look at that trap set from Sunday to see him literally destroy people. And it feels like he's just got his mind is a one-track mind. He's just on a mission to kill. And that's it seems like Jonah Jackson has that same mentality quite a bit. And then I put Darnell Wright as the Hulk. He's the biggest guy. He can be a gentle giant, I would say, with a mean side. It just felt like that was the right fit. So that was my Avengers list.
So what is, like, as someone who's maybe not as connected into the Marvel universe, what is Red Hulk?
So Red Hulk is, and I might get this wrong too, because I don't go that deep into the lore of comics, but Red Hulk is kind of like Thaddeus Ross, who is the Hulk's enemy, or I'd say enemy, who wants to like nullify the Hulk in the comics and the movies. He winds up turning into Red Hulk by, the movie from Captain America. I can't remember his name now. This sucks. Anyway, he gets like just turned into the Red Hulk. He's not like a hero or anything. He's just a ball of fury, just uncontrollable rage, like the Hulk used to be. He's really not an Avenger. I mean, he was kind of like a anti-hero / villain than he can be. So
it was really just, I already used Hulk. I got it, but I want another Hulk.
I guess. I mean, hey, two Hulks on an offensive line. I guess I can't.
I mean, sometimes it's hard to distinguish Jonah and Darnell Wright, unless you look at their number, because they look pretty similar. Yeah. So maybe that's Caleb's motif too.
So I didn't love any of them except for Dahlman as Hulk. Like, I love Dahlman as Hulk because, like, I feel like I see that on the tape. There are just moments where it's like, this dude is angry. Like, this dude just, like, he wants to go pop someone in the mouth. Like, despite being a more finesse player a lot of the times in the run game, like, there are times where it's just like, oh, he got angry right there. Mm-hmm. So I liked that one, but we can move on from this. Let's get back to Bears, Packers.
That was a good topic.
At Soldier Field, just 1 week or 2 weeks removed from losing up at Lambeau 21-28. And I'm going to pose a question to you guys this isn't one of our typical questions. Who on the Bears needs to play better this time around for the Bears to win this game? Starting with Brendan.
There's a list. There's definitely a list. Which direction do I want to go? I'm going to stay on the defensive side, and I'm going to go with Jaquan Brisker. I think there's other names that you can put out there, but I was very disappointed in what Jaquan Brisker showed against the Packers. He was out of position, couldn't recover. Things happen, like, of course, CJ Gardner-Johnson had some of the bad plays where he just got boat raced by some of the receivers. I think it was just a matter of skill. And I think in some instances with the coverage being called, you can't necessarily fault him for missing some of those things. As the safety, and most times, I mean, Jaquan Brisker, even if he's playing up or back, you got to be better and recognizing what plays are coming. And, just that one big play to Bo Melton, he saw it coming a mile away. I know that was likely Jalen Johnson's guy. There's a miscommunication there, but he had more than enough time to recognize that was the play and to close on it to nearly get an interception. There's no reason that ball should have been completed. I wasn't impressed with Jaquan Brisker the first time around. I think with Jordan Love needing to do a little bit more with possibly less, this is a chance for Brisker to really get better and show what he can do. I mean, he gets up for these games. He talks a lot. At some point, you really got to deliver when it comes to his play on the field.
Samir, any thoughts? Feel free to say the same guys, like repeat whatever works.
So that's a great point. And actually, that was where I was going to go with my nicest man. So I'll save my points for that segment, but that's spot on, Brendan. That's kind of what I was thinking too. I'm going to go on the other side of the ball since you picked defense. I'll go with the offense. And this is pretty low hanging fruit, I think, is DJ Moore. The first time they played, he had one catch for -4 yards or something like that. Kind of a non-factor. He showed up obviously big in the Cleveland game, got the game ball, feel goods, all that stuff. But if Rome is going to be out, I think we're all pretty much in agreement that Rome's going to miss this game. Luther seems like he's trending towards missing the game, or at the very least being a game time decision, which We know how this staff has approached game time decisions the last 2 weeks. It hasn't really gone in their favor. So if those two guys are out or hobbled, it's DJ, it's Oz, it's Loveland, and you're going to need DJ to play better than he did. Now, wide receiver, it's a little tougher. How much of these is he part of the game plan? How much of it is on Caleb? There's a lot of factors that go into it, but he's going to need to have a big game, way bigger than what he did the first time they played.
I think that's a good pick right there. And I think they're both good picks. For me, my initial thought was the guy no one wants to say, right, is Caleb Williams. Caleb played great in the second half of that game. In the first half, I don't think he played great. I don't think he played poorly necessarily, but he's the quarterback. It starts with him. It ends with him. I need more out of him. But I'm going to say a different guy is my official pick here. I'm going to go offensive line. And his job gets a lot easier in this one because Micah Parsons out for the season with the torn ACL. But Darnell Wright. You could go Jonah Jackson here, but Jonah Jackson was like, I don't expect Jonah Jackson to be able to stop Micah Parsons, right? Like, I expect Darnell Wright to be able to stop Rashawn Gary. I expect Darnell Wright to be able to stop Kingsley Enagbare. And there were times where he struggled to do that in the first game around. And I love Darnell. I still think he's great, but I need him to show his greatness in this game, especially with Micah Parsons out. But do you guys have, let's get this Green Bay roster up here. Any other thoughts about this roster? So we're talking Micah Parsons is out. Zach Tom seems unlikely to play, which means we're going to get Darian Kennard at right tackle, which is a very good thing for the Bears.
Yeah.
Christian Watson seems like he might not be playing. Evan Williams, their strong safety, might not be playing. They had a bunch of guys go down in Denver last week. So starting with Samir, any thoughts on the evolution of Green Bay's roster over the last 2 weeks?
It is vastly different. There's nobody on that Green Bay roster that can do what Christian Watson can do. And if he cannot go, the Bears catch a huge break. Reed's good. Dobbs is fine. These guys they're not Christian Watson. The corners can run with these guys. And knock on wood, Tremaine Edmonds, his length, coming back, those quick slants, some of that stuff that was happening before, easier to defend. Tremaine Edmonds isn't really going to be able to defend Christian Watson. That's not what he's going to be asked to do. So if Watson's out, the defense becomes a little bit more manageable. So that one strikes me. And then the offensive line, right? Zach Tom, that's a big one. And we saw what happened when they tried to blitz Jordan Love the first game and how he torched him. So getting pressure with that front four is going to be really key again. And if you're down, you're starting right tackle, one of your better offensive linemen, hopefully that increases the Bears' chances of generating that pressure with the front four so they don't have to rely on the blitz.
Brendan?
I mean, pretty much the same. It's crazy how much things have changed in the last 2 weeks. And of course do we have to really put the caveat out there that we don't root for injuries or anything like that? But I mean, man, just how this affects the Green Bay Packers on both sides of the ball. I wonder how the coaching staff is going to approach this week with now could we say maybe like 2 of their top 5 players right now, most likely out for this game on a short week? What does that look like with Hafley trying to organize this defense and figure out how he's going to send pressure and who we can rely on? How does that change the game plan with a short week? Same with Matt LaFleur. I mean, you go back and as soon as Christian Watson went down, that Packers offense was so different. It just felt like Jordan Love, maybe part of that was Zach Tom being out too, but Jordan Love is a different quarterback. He did not know where to go to the ball with the ball. He looked so much more unsure of himself. And I just wonder what that looks like with Matt LaFleur trying to put together a game plan. And now with Josh Jacobs banged up as well, can you really lean on that running game? There's a lot of questions I have. And also just from not only just like an X's and O's thing, what does this team's morale look like now? Yeah. It felt like, guys, I wasn't trying to how do I say this? I was curious as to what the Packers post-game shows were saying about these injuries and sort of the feeling going into the final 3 games. And a lot of them were treating it as like a funeral. Like, this is the season. This is it. I'm sure the Packers themselves aren't doing that, but when you lose players of these caliber, it's going to be really hard for them to kind of pick themselves up, go on the road on a short week, and really just like play their balls off to get a win. I just wonder what that's going to look like from a morality standpoint.
No, I think that's a real tough thing. I mean, we talked about it some, or I guess we tweeted about some, Brendan, the other day. Like, they were, I'm going to take a bit different look at this, actually.
Mm-hmm.
When you guys have watched the Packers defense and then compare it to what you saw when they played the Bears at Lambeau, do you get the feeling that there was more on the line in that game for them? Like, they were flying faster, hitting harder, and I went, oh shit, I underestimated this Packers defense. They are better than I thought they were because of how fast they were flying downhill. They weren't missing gaps. Everything felt like it was hitting perfectly for them. And I didn't think that their defense was like that. And I didn't feel like watching them in Denver last week, their defense was like that, which tells me that Bears-Packers game in Lambeau, there was a lot emotionally on the line for them. A lot in their season, they felt, was on the line in that game. And then they follow that up by having to go to Denver, play a team who is probably almost as physical as the Bears, if not just as physical. I think Denver's defense is better, but I think the Bears are more physical in general. Get really banged up there. I don't think it's a coincidence they get banged up after playing the Bears, who were putting a lot of stress on their bodies in that game. Coming off that loss in Denver, I think it's really hard to get back up for this game for them. And not that they can't, not that they won't, but I do think it's very difficult.
I think they used up a lot of their bulletin board material in the first meeting, to be honest. There was all that talk about disrespecting LaFleur and Ben Johnson and, all that. And then Micah Parsons coming out saying, like, I don't even know what he was saying about disrespect. And it was a really bizarre interview. Like, they were amped up for it. And everybody was talking about the Bears coming off an emotional game with the letdown. Nobody talked about it from the other side. Like you said, Q, the Packers emotionally got up for that game. They were talking their stuff. They were putting the bulletin board material up. They were going ham, right? I don't know if you can gear back up for that again, right? Especially coming off of a loss where you lost your best player, right? Your best player on your team. And then trying to get that emotion back up again and rah-rah yourself up. It's going to be emotionally tiring. I don't know that they have it in them. Maybe they do. I mean, it's still the Green Bay Packers and, for now, it's still the Chicago Bears, right? So you never know, but I don't know. The things are lining up for the Bears for this week because of all the reasons that both of you just outlined.
And I'll also say quickly, Q, you mentioned just the defense flying all over the place. It really felt like Jeff Hafley knew exactly what Ben Johnson was calling. How many plays did you see that were completely blown up before they even had a chance to develop? It was multiple times in the first half. And Ben Johnson adjusted in the second half, but clearly the Packers defense from a coaching standpoint had the upper hand. I wonder now what that's going to look like in the rematch, because Johnson clearly knows I know what I need to do against this defense to make sure that we don't run into that situation again. And like I said before, with new personnel and trying to shuffle new guys in, I just wonder sort of like from a coaching standpoint, if that same sort of, if they're still going to see the same looks, or if Hafley's going to have an upper hand again, or if Johnson comes out firing quicker than usual.
Well, yeah, and that first Packers game was so interesting. It was the first half was the only time this season I can remember a defense just seemingly not, like Ben Johnson not being able to get guys in the gaps he wants them in the run game. Like, it was very different than anything we'd seen this year, where it was like, I don't know if they just weren't reacting to motions the way that the Bears expected or something along those lines, but it was like Ben Johnson is typically so good at getting this guy into this gap so that you can open this hole in the run game, and it just wasn't happening. The Packers were just almost saying, well, we're not going to react to you. And in the second half, I think they used their advantage some, but I'm interested to see how they play off of that, because I think you're right. Their defense, like Hafley had was doing something very right that first half, and it'll be interesting to see how the Bears come out this time and how Halfley plays the chess match too, because he's not going to come out the same way that they did.
Mm-hmm.
But with that being said, you guys want to get into our first segment here?
Let's do it.
The baddest man.
All right, starting with Brendan. Who is the guy after this game is over that the Bears players are going to look behind them and say, I don't want to see that guy again?
Very different than what I probably would have picked a week ago. I'm going to go this time with Jayden Reed. Jayden Reed had a pretty good game in his first game back against the Bears. Believe he had, I got it up here. Only had 4 catches, all 4 targets for 31 yards. I believe most of those came in the first half, so they really got him going. Now, without Christian Watson, with Jayden Reed playing the slot, taking place of that, I wonder how much they're going to use him. I'm sure it's going to be, some of those quick hitters. He does have good speed. He's a really good wide receiver. Now that he's gotten a couple of games back to sort of get, his feet under him, I just think he's going to be the leading receiver when it's all said and done. The Bears are really going to have to make sure they have all eyes on him, make sure he doesn't, get underneath him and keep those chains moving.
Yeah, I think Reed is he'd probably be near the top of my list. He is a heck of a football player, and he's a mismatch maker, right? Like he's not the mismatch maker that Christian Watson is just because of the speed, but he still is a guy who is very hard to cover in man coverage. And yeah, I think that's a good choice. Samir, where are you going with yours?
Yeah, so we talked about all the subtractions that the Packers may have going into this Saturday. They are getting some guys that the Bears haven't seen yet this season. Golden, the receiver, will likely play, and then Lucas Van Ness, who they didn't have to deal with the first time they played. He'll be back in, and he's not elite by any means, but he's a solid player. I mean, obviously he's no Micah, so that trade-off still favors the Bears. But I'm going to go with the same guy I went with 2 weeks ago, and that's Jordan Love. He gives me no reason to not pick him again. I said that he's had success against the Bears in the past, and he had a pretty good game a couple weeks ago. Had 120.7 passer rating. He had 1 pick that didn't really hurt him. He only took 1 sack, and he torched him when they blitzed him. So especially with Micah kind of going down and them realizing, hey, we're going to have to score points here, because our defense may give up points and every possession is going to count. I can see Jordan Love, playing a little bit more Caleb-y, I guess you could say, where Matt LaFleur may be letting the reins off a little bit because he knows he needs points. So Jordan Love is numbered, as long as they have number 10 back there, I still feel like the Bears can't take anything lightly. So I'm just going to go with Jordan Love.
Yeah, it's hard to argue with that. Love he just keeps doing it. As much as I doubt him, he keeps doing it.
What's that fadeaway?
For me, I'm between 2 guys, and it's the big time players make big time plays in big time games kind of vibes. But I'm between Xavier McKinney and Edgerrin Cooper here, because I think that those are by far their 2 best defenders on that field right now. And I'm gonna end up going with Xavier McKinney. I think McKinney is the heart and soul of this defense in a lot of ways, and he is a guy who is showing that he can play downhill, he can play coverage, he can rotate late in coverages. I expect Halfley to use him as a chess piece in this game, and I think that he might get a pick somewhere in this game. He's gonna have to have a day for the Packers to win this game, I think, and I think he's up to the task.
I think with Micah Parsons out, there was a lot of, I guess McKinney was sort of under the radar this year after how well he did last year. And now with Parsons out, he's definitely going to be more of a focal point. He's still a great player, but yeah, I think that's a good call. And he's definitely going to be more on the Bears radar than maybe he was before.
Yeah. Now let's get to the Bears roster. Starting with Samir. Who's the baddest man?
Okay, so I'm going to go with Caleb Mother effing Williams for my baddest man. I think he's put together the second half of that Packer game, and then basically the entire Browns game. I think he's been on a different level. I don't know if you guys had a chance to catch any of that press conference today, but he is oozing confidence, ready for this game, totally locked in. And he's been especially good at home this year, right? It is a little bit of a tale of home versus away. He's got a 99 passer rating at home, 11 touchdowns, 1 interception. We talked about no Micah Parsons, chasing him all around the field. His last pass against the Packers was an interception. I think he just wants to come out and ball out so bad. You can just see it the way he's carrying himself this week. I think he's going to feed off that home crowd, and he's going to be the baddest man on the field. Packers are going to be like, oh man, this guy, we're kind of screwed for the next couple of years if this guy keeps playing the way he does. So I'm going to go with 18.
And Brendan, you looked like you might have had some thoughts. That might have been do you have any thoughts on it?
Samir, you took everything I was going to say. I mean, I really think that no, it was great. I realized over the weekend that I don't think people are talking enough about how good Caleb Williams has been at home. The stats say it, but the eye test also says it. Just the way that he's in command. Like the last time we saw a quarterback just dominate Soldier Field this consistently was Aaron Rodgers. But seriously, like he is, the way he's like operating the huddle, how accurate he is, how calm, how poised, no matter what, it's just different at home. And I'm so excited to see that against this Packers team. So I'm really glad you mentioned that, Samir, because I'm starting to get a little out over my skis to say, like I put it out on Twitter, if the Bears somehow get the number 1 seed, I can actually see Caleb Williams hoisting the George Halas Trophy going to the Super Bowl with how he's playing at home.
And I mean, going back to the last 2 weeks, right? Like last week was awesome. The Browns game. There's nothing you can really even nitpick there. But the Green Bay game, it had its ups and downs, like ups in the second half, downs in the first half. But I don't know. It felt like something clicked for him in the second half of that game to me with this offense. And I we only have a 1.5 game sample size to really judge it on, or even one game if you're saying it clicked there. So it's really only the Browns game. But I don't just how confident he was coming off this Browns win. I think the light switch went on, and he said, "I get it." This offense, he's seeing it. It's that I want to say it was like week 11 in Detroit, like in Ben Johnson's first year as OC, where the light switch went on for Jared Goff, and it all started to hit. I'm not saying it's like maybe it's not that automatic, but man, I hope it is, because it feels that way to me, where he's hitting the anticipation throws started hitting a few weeks ago, and they've only gotten more and more of them. You're starting to see the receivers hit those spots better too. Because a few weeks ago, it was like, oh, well, that guy fell down. This guy ran the wrong route, whatever. But it was a clear anticipation throw. I'm excited to see where Caleb is going the rest of the way, because that since halftime against Green Bay, it feels like it's there. It's hitting right. But Brendan, did you want to pick another baddest man, or did you want to just stick with Caleb?
I'll pick another one because just got to do it. But I'm gonna go with DeAndre Swift. He just, like, it's crazy how he really hasn't had a bad game this season, at least not since like the first couple weeks of the year. Even in his down games where he maybe doesn't get the ball a ton, he's still producing quite a bit. And the way he was running against the Browns, I know we kind of saw this potentially coming with how the Browns played Tony Pollard a week earlier. But man, DeAndre Swift had just a unique mix of just shiftiness, but also power. It bouncing off tacklers, keeping his feet moving forward, falling forward. I saw a tweet. I wish I could remember who said it to give him credit, but somebody said, like, man, did DeAndre Swift have a girl back in Cleveland that he couldn't get over? Because he's just running like a man possessed right now. He's having an exceptional season. He's just about right under 1,000 yards. He has 4.9 yards per attempt. I love this stat. He already has 54 first downs this year. That's that's easily a career best, and it's already 11 more than he had last year on like 60, 70 fewer carries. Just the guy is a chain mover. He's running the ball so hard right now. I know we loved what Kyle Monangai did specifically against the Packers, but the way Swift is running the ball right now and how quick he's hitting those holes and getting to the second level with how even worse that Packers defensive line is, I think this is going to be a big game for him.
Yeah, he was my baddest man for the post game against the Browns. I am mesmerized by the way DeAndre Swift ran the ball in that game, and like this is DeAndre Swift's best self, and I love it. I'm excited about it. For me, for baddest man, I want to give a shout out to Joe Thuney and Drew Dalton. This is a defensive line that they will do well against running the football. Like both those guys are not at their best against power defensive tackles. They're at their best against finesse defensive tackles. Packers are finesse defensive tackles at this point. I think that you can run the ball behind their combo blocks over and over and over. Whereas like Jonah Jackson and Darnell Wright tend to struggle a little more with the finesse players in the run blocking game. But that's just an honorable mention. For my baddest man, assuming he's back on the field, I'm going Tremaine Edmonds. I think he is a big time chess piece for Dennis Allen to add back there. He is just he's different. His speed, his length, he is a hard player to scheme around, and even harder when you look at how Dennis Allen was using him in narrowing his coverage responsibilities in a sense and just saying, go find ball. And he was finding the ball. He was playing the best football of his career before he went down with an injury. And I fully expect him to maybe not be on the same level because knock a little rust off, but to be a problem out there for the Packers offense, because I think Dennis Allen is going to put him in positions to be a problem.
And also just the pairing with TJ Edwards, the two of them are better together. Mm-hmm. I go back to the New Orleans Saints game when both of them were fully healthy. The just quickness that they were flashing to ball carriers, they were not letting guys get an inch after, if they even caught the ball, or they would break up passes, get TFLs. I'm so excited to see that duo back in action. That's a great call.
Yeah. All right, now let's get to our next segment here.
The nicest man.
We hate to do this one, but we gotta. Who's the nicest man on the Bears this week, Brendan?
I was going to take Brisker, but I know Samir's going to take him, and I think he's got a pretty good argument again for him. So I'm going to leave that alone. I'm going to leave it alone. I'm just going to, maybe because I have a bad taste left in my mouth, and I know he played good last week, but I'm going to say CJ Gardner-Johnson. I just think that Matt LaFleur knows his strengths, his weaknesses. There's opportunities for him to be put in mismatches. And I know you don't have that. You're likely not going to have that Christian Watson type mismatch. But still, if you're guarding somebody like Jaden Reed, I'm still probably taking Jaden Reed in that matchup like more times than not. So I just need CJ to show me something. I'm glad that he got the pick last week. He was kind of almost caught in no man's land for that pick, if you saw, because he did allow that. If Shador even just looks for a check down, he's getting a lot of yards there, and a better ball probably makes it to the receiver. But still, I think CJ's done a really nice job in a pinch this year. I'm very happy we have him. I'm also happy to be wrong because I pretty much thought he'd be off the team by now. But I just don't think that he's going to be a good factor for the Bears in this. I think the Packers are going to pick on him and pick on him a ton in the passing game.
I mean, I think that's a interesting point, and I'm not sure how much the Packers have played Matthew Golden in the slot, but he's 4.29 speed as well. So, if I'm Matt LaFleur and I'm comfortable with him in the slot, I'm interested in taking those shots too. But Samir, where are you going for your nicest man on the Bears?
Yeah, Brendan mentioned Jaquan Brisker earlier, and I totally agree with a lot of the points that he made earlier. I had him as my nicest man. I just need to see something out of him, man. I just see a lot of like this, when he's not even near the play, which is fine. He's that guy. He's the hype man. But it seems like everyone in the secondary is making plays, right? Bayard is like leading in turnovers. CJ, who just got here, is making an impact. Deshaun Wright is coming on. Even Jalen Johnson, who's played in like 3 games, has an interception. And, haven't really seen the Brisker play yet, right? If you're like, Jaquan Brisker impact play, can't really think of it right now. He had 1 pick against the Commanders, but that's really it. And last time the Bears played the Packers, they lost on those 3 explosive plays. And I know, like as Brendan pointed out, some of those might not be on Brisker, whatever the case is, but that can't happen again. And I need Brisker to have his Brisker play, right? That we think about when we think about the secondary making plays. I want to include his name in that list of guys I just mentioned. So come on, Kwani. Let's see it. Let's see it this week.
Yeah. I mean, he's kind of disappeared. I almost wonder how much, I want to be careful saying that. Like, I felt like the very minimal amount of Kyler Gordon we got was paired with some really different usage of Jaquan Brisker. But I almost wonder if his responsibilities have to change when Gordon's not available. But either way, I thought about going for my nicest man with, I can't believe I'm saying this, the cornerback not named Deshaun Wright, because Jalen Johnson, he's been burned deep 3 times in 3 games. So I if I'm Matt LaFleur, I'm going to target that at some point in the game, maybe multiple times in the game. And interestingly, last week, Deshaun Wright played almost all the snaps. Stevenson and Johnson were splitting snaps. So I'm not sure how that rotation is going to shake out there. But I just found that interesting and noteworthy. But ultimately, for my nicest man, since you guys both went defensive back, I'm going to go the spot where if I am the Packers D coordinator, Mark Halfley, I'm looking at this sheet and I'm saying I'm going to attack that, and that's Ozzie Trapillo. I think Ozzie's shown some good stuff. I thought he showed some good growth last week, but he's still the guy to attack until proven otherwise on this offense. And I think you need to bring stunts at him, blitzes his direction, try to confuse him, and I fully expect them to.
You just did what I did 2 weeks ago. You called him Mark.
Wait.
You called Jeff Halfley Mark Halfley. I said
there's a reason I called him the Packers defensive coordinator first.
No, I know.
I can't remember. I was like, oh, Halfley, that's it.
Oh my God, that's amazing. I love that. I'm glad I'm not the only one now. Thank you.
I did it for you. All right.
Thank you.
Brendan, who's the nicest man on the Green Bay Packers?
This is easy for me. I'm going Colby Wooden. He was the nicest man before, but without Micah Parsons kind of eating up some of the attention, he's not good. And now, I mean, like Angabari and Rashawn Gary, Lucas Van Ness, they're fine, depending on how much pressure they're bringing. But if Colby Wooden is lining up against Joe Thuney, Drew Dahlman, or Jordan Jackson this time at Soldier Field without the Micah Parsons effect, I just think he's got very little chance to make much of an impact. So easily my nicest man of the week.
Couldn't have said it better myself. I've never been a big Colby Wooden believer, going back to his college tape. And, he's a tweener, right? Like he played edge in college. He plays defensive tackle in the NFL, but he's not really either from a trait standpoint. And he's got good run stuffing, like technique. And like that's he's not, doesn't bring much pass rush. He's just a run stuffer guy, but he's 280 pounds. So he's just a weird fit on an NFL team. And like the Packers like weird fits in their D line. They work in a rotation, but they're relying on him now. So that's to me, I'm with you. That's a great pick. Samir, where are you going for your nicest man?
Dude, I feel like Brendan and I are of the same mind for all of these decisions here, because I also went on the Packers D line. I think it's just the Parsons factor, right? And I was going to go with Rashawn Gary for very similar reasons. I think that Brendan just pointed out. he's a name, right? But in his last 7 games, 0 sacks, 0 tackles for loss. You know, the Avengers have one guy to worry about, and that's him. And he's just gonna, I don't know. I think he's gonna struggle. But since we went D-line already, I'm gonna go in a different direction. I'm gonna go with the guy that we briefly touched on the offensive line for the Packers, Darian Kinnard, and you could probably talk a little bit more about him, Q. I think it's gonna be a tough spot for him. You know, Zach Tom, if he's down, Kinnard, I think he played left tackle in college, right? Or tackle in college, and he was pretty good, but I think he's mostly been a guard in the NFL. So now he's going to have to go back to tackle. Short week. I think if the Bears are going to have success, you know, getting pressure on the front 4, he's along with some of those interior folks, but he's going to be the guy that they're going to want to attack. And maybe this is Austin Booker after coming off a nice game against the Browns. Maybe he can keep that confidence going and you know, attack a backup tackle if he needs to. So I'll go with Kinnard.
Yeah.
Just to note, sorry, I was just going to say, just to note, it's a Tuesday injury report and it was a walkthrough, but Kinnard, I can't remember how to say his name, limited participation with a neck. So he's on the injury report as well.
Oh,
okay. I'm sure he'll play, but that's still, I think it's notable.
Was Tom DNP?
Zach Tom was DNP. Yep.
All right.
Interesting. So
that is interesting.
I want to see who their 3rd string guy would be. Let's see. So, I mean, I guess they technically don't have one on their depth chart, but I imagine it's Jordan Morgan. It's got to be Jordan Morgan. Either that or kicking Aaron Banks out. But either way, that left tackle or right tackle spot is a spot to attack as long as it's not Zach Tom out there. I agree. Darian Kinnard, or I've always said Kinnard, but I really have no idea if that's right. So he was a 5th round pick in 2022, didn't play an NFL snap until 2024 when he went to the Eagles as a free agent after Kansas City said, we've seen enough. We don't need him. And then Jeff Stoutland said, we've seen enough. We don't need him. And he goes to Green Bay. Like I don't have a lot of faith in that player at that point. I can't say I've ever watched much of his tape. Because he was drafted the year before I started doing draft boards, I think. He's nasty. He was mean in college. I know that much. But he's never really seen much of the NFL field. He's played 286 career snaps. He's been, by PFF grade, he's been good so far. I don't really trust PFF grades very much anymore for O-line, but that's neither here nor there. I think that's a good spot to attack. And for my nicest man, I mean, I'm going right next to him. I'm going Anthony Belton again. Gray Jarrett had a nice day on Anthony Belton last time around. I expected him to do the same thing again because Belton's big, powerful, massive, but he can't really move. Grady Jarrett is that guy to beat him. He is Anthony Belton's nightmare in my mind. So like that, I need Grady Jarrett to make Anthony Belton pay for being the nicest man. But with that being said, let's get to our keys to victory.
Keys to victory.
All right, kick this one to Samir first. What is your key to victory for the Chicago Bears this week?
All right, so give you one offense, one defense. Offense, establish offensive line dominance early. You know, I think the first half of that Packers game, as Brendan pointed out, Mark Hafley seemed to know exactly what Ben Johnson was going to call. And the offensive line seemed to be a little slow, but get the run game going, keep 10 off the field, make them get in their own head, you know, just make them keep thinking like, damn, we're a different team without Micah. I don't know if we can do this. We're not getting the pressure. We're getting beat. Just beat them down early, man. Play bully ball early. And then on the defensive time, same thing as last time, because I think that was a key that played out negatively for the Bears is needed pressure with the front four. You know, they did that last week against Shador, and it paid a lot of dividends. I know this is a better offensive line than what Cleveland has, but it's not an elite offensive line, as we just talked about with the injuries and some of the gaps that they have there. So, and I did put in my notes, I want to see Jarrett have a big game because, like you said, Q, he had a pretty good game the first time they played the Packers, and he had a sack last week against the Browns. I feel like he's starting to get going a little bit, and that confidence is going. So those are my offensive and defensive keys.
Brendan, what are you thinking?
Again, fairly lockstep with Samir. We're on one today, but start fast early. Well, I guess that's the same thing. Just start fast. I don't know what has happened over the last like how many weeks, but Ben Johnson was great with opening game scripts for the first half of the season. And for the last handful of games, just things have not clicked early on. We even saw it against the Browns. I mean, yeah, that was a dominant win, but that first drive, they didn't go much anywhere. Packers, their first 2 drives, negative yardage. The Eagles, they did. They at least drove down the field, couldn't convert, but they at least showed something. Steelers, I think it was a similar situation. Just come out quick, establish that early lead, make the Packers play from behind on the road, and get the crowd into it too. I know that's been the theme. If you listen to some of the press conferences today, the players and coaches are both saying we need Soldier Field as loud as ever. It was loud last week. We need the fans to be in it to disrupt what the Packers are doing. I'm sure that affected the Bears offense 2 weeks ago. And what better way to do that than if the Bears start out with the ball and get 7 points and make Jordan Love play from behind right away? I think that sets the tone, not only just on the field, but with the scoreboard, and things could really get out of hand because I want to see this defense play with the lead early against the Packers offense.
Yeah, I think that's probably in my mind, the biggest thing in this game is starting fast, and to add to yours a little, step on their throat. You cannot light up. You can, like Green Bay, we know what this offense can do from behind. Like we know that Jordan Love has a live arm and they have receivers who can hurt you. And none of them are stars, but they have a deep room there. You need to score. You need to put this thing away once you get the lead too. You can't let them back into this game. You can't let them linger around. You can't play with your food here. But for me, first of all, who is Mark Halfley? Did we talk about this last time? Is he even a person? I found him on LinkedIn.
He is definitely a person. So it's Mark Hatley is a former Bears GM /
That's right. We did talk about that. Okay.
Yes. Yeah. And now, originally I called Jeff Hatley Mark Hatley, and afterwards I'm like, that's not right. What did I? And I remembered. I'm like, oh yeah, it's the Bears GM. You accidentally did it. And then Samir did it. I don't know if he did it on purpose or not. Okay, good, because I'm very concerned. We're spiraling, man.
Okay. Definitely on purpose.
Thank God.
Okay. So, my instinct for my key to victory is to say this there's no reason this Packers defense should be able to stop the run on paper when I look at them. And that's what I said last time too. And they did a good job through the first half, and then the second half it kind of fell off. But then the Broncos couldn't run for shit against them last week. But Bo Nix put 300 yards on this dude and made them look silly, or on this defense and made them look silly. Put the cape on, Caleb. Be Superman. That's my key. Caleb, go do what you do. Take that confidence that you got right now, add to it, build on it, make some crazy plays, and win a football game. That's I want. Did you guys see some of the highlights from Bo Nix last week out of structure? Caleb can do all that.
Mm-hmm.
Go do it.
They were getting almost no pressure on Bo Nix post Parsons. Bo was just running. I mean, he was running because he likes to throw on the run, but there was still nobody within 5 yards of him on some of those long throws. So
yeah,
I think Caleb could eat.
This is Caleb's time to shine. Go do it. Go make those Packers look bad. But let's get to score predictions and wrap this thing up. Starting with Brendan, what do you got for this final score of this one?
I was confident 2 weeks ago, and as we got later in the week, I started to feel less confident. I saw what the Bears are doing injury-wise. Kyler Gordon, the Packers getting guys back. I'm like, I'm sticking with my prediction, but I'm gonna not feel great about this. I feel great about this, unfortunately. The last time the Packers they were coming in all high and mighty. They had established a better win streak. They were coming off a big Vikings game win. Same thing with the Giants. And like I said before, I think their morale is down. They're battered, bruised. Matt LaFleur sounded like he had to put a family member down with just everything that was happening. This team, I just think is broken a bit. Maybe not fully, but just enough for the Bears to take advantage and have that confidence going in. I think this could be a big Caleb game, but I still think that DeAndre Swift and the run game get its thing going. I have the Bears 27-21. They vanquish the Beast, and as the Avengers should have done, spoiler, in Infinity War, they go for the head and take them out.
Samir, Bears go for the head in this one.
I don't know if you have to spoiler the Avengers Infinity War, but I like that you did that. Call me a meatball man, but I'm all in on this game. I feel the exact same way about this game that I felt about the Eagles game, where I was just feeling like, no, this is it. This is going to happen. The Packers have just come off 2 physical games against the Bears and the Broncos, and now they have to fly back from Denver to and I think we talked about this on the post-game show for the Browns. Is teams that play the Bears, they lose the next week. Teams that play the Broncos, they lose the next week. Now the Packers just played the Bears and the Broncos. They just lost their best player. Their best wide receiver could be limited. The Bears are going to be fired up in front of that home crowd, man. I think they win comfortably by double digits. I'm going Packers 17, Bears 31.
Ooh. You stole my score, Samir.
Oh, man, you're going full meatball too, huh?
Yeah. Bears 31, Packers 17. That's it. That's the stuff.
It.
That's what we're looking for right here.
I love it.
Yeah, I think you said it perfectly. So I've got no notes. No notes.
All 3 of us, we're all on the call it the Hatley brainwave length here for this episode.
We're gonna make shirts. It's gonna be great. All right, gentlemen. Why don't we give a good old bear down and we'll get out of here.
Bear down.
Bear down. Let's go.
Bear down.